Another one of his family members had texted me. He said, Trey's cheating on you, which we call him Trey, but his name is John. Me, I was hurt. And so I went to be by myself at the pool area where I was at the time. A guy walked up to me and he's like, well, you look like you need somebody to talk to. Do you want to go to my camper and talk?
Over a man who's taking advantage of both of you, and then you sit up and say you don't feel some kind of way because I see too much. If he just leave me alone, I'd be all right. He don't just slip on a banana peel and land between your legs. No.
This case went from 0 to 100 real fast. Mr. Rash believes his wife, Ms. Fuentes, has been cheating everywhere, even with 5 brothers from the same family. He's forgiven her multiple times, but now questions if the kids are even his. Just when things can't get wilder, Ms. Fuentes drops a bombshell. Escalates when Ms. Fuentes admits to cheating, but insists Mr. Rash knew from the start. Then, she reveals another man is waiting.
Her hooking up with them. I mean, right there.
So did you confront her?
Yeah.
Now, we enter custody drama. Ms. Fuentes claims Mr. Rash did it because she was out partying instead of parenting. The courtroom watches like a tennis match, unsure who to believe.
I had gotten with another dude, and I was taking care of my kids. He actually took my kid.
Talk about brutal honesty. Ms. Fuentes confesses she never loved Mr. Rash. He looks absolutely crushed, questioning why she married him. His face screams betrayal, but before an answer comes, the conversation takes another wild turn. The courtroom is left in disbelief. Rash is furious, questioning how she could love one brother but sleep with another. Even the judge looks exhausted by the madness. Enter Mr. Judd, one of the many brothers, casually confirming he slept with Ms. Fuentes. When asked if he thinks he's the dad, he shrugs, saying, nah, the kid don't look like me. Judge Lake reminds him DNA doesn't care about looks. Mr. Judd already seems to regret showing up.
Love her children. Children look at me like a grandmother.
Mr. Rash is visibly stressed, just wanting to know if the kids are his. He says he's been there from the start and hopes for confirmation. The audience sympathizes but braces for the results. The tension is thick as Judge Lake prepares to reveal the truth.
What do you want from today? What is it?
Just want my kids to be mine, and, I'm just going to continue to do what I'm doing.
Do you still want a relationship with Ms. Fuentes?
You know what? In light of all this, no. I don't even care anymore.
Mr. Judd,
This story is straight up messy from the start. Mr. Brown says he found an intimate violence tape of his wife with another man, and now thinks the baby isn't his. The court is about to bring in that guy, and things are about to get even worse.
Mr. Brown, you say there is no way you are Amira's biological father. After finding a sex tape of your wife with another man, you now intend to prove he fathered Amira. We'll meet that man in a moment.
Mr. Brown found the video because their kids grabbed Ms. McKinney's phone, and he snatched it just in time. He played the video, saw something nasty, and shut it off real quick. Now the courtroom is about to meet the star of the show, the other man.
One day, the girls, they like snatching her phone, so they grabbed her phone. Before they could even get into the video, I grabbed it, and it pressed play, and I seen the beginning of the video, and I didn't see what I liked, so I just disclosed it. I didn't watch the whole video.
What was in her phone?
Scrolling through her pictures, whatever, and before they could even get to it, I grabbed the phone.
Oh, because you knew it was something inappropriate.
Yeah, it didn't look like a video, so I clicked on it, and didn't like what I seen, and I disclosed it.
The man from the tape, Jonathan Fowler, walks in like nothing's wrong. He admits he had a year-long thing with Ms. McKinney and met her while her husband was right there. This just keeps getting messier, and now Ms. McKinney's story is falling apart.
Mr. Brown found a sex tape of his wife and you in her phone. Is that true?
Yes. Well, when I first met Miss McKinley, we was talking on the dating site, and the day I met her, Mr. Brown was present, but they wasn't together. But I seen them face to face.
Oh!
The dates are not adding up at all. Ms. McKinney told Fowler she was pregnant in June 2017, but he says they stopped hooking up months before that. Nobody knows what's going on, and the judge's face says it all.
Me and Miss McKinney met up, and she told me she was pregnant in June of 2017, summer.
What did she tell you exactly?
That she's pregnant and she's ready to give birth.
So who did she say the father was?
She didn't tell me
I said it was complicated.
I believe it was complicated because, like I said,
I was back and forth with him and him.
What's April 9th, and Amira was born April 9th.
Mr. Brown refused to sign the birth certificate, and so did Ms. McKinney. She didn't want him on it because of child support, and now everyone is confused. If you think this is bad, just wait for what's next.
When Amira was born, where were you? Were you there?
I was present.
Did you sign the birth certificate?
No, I did not.
I refused to let him sign it.
I said no because Amari didn't look like me. That's why I said no.
That too.
Why did you refuse?
Because since we're married and I get public assistance, they're gonna try to hit him with child support.
But you all were legally married. So why would he have to be on the hook for child support if you're legally married?
I didn't want him to sign a birth certificate.
The results drop, and boom.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Fowler, you are not the father.
Thank you. Thank you.
This case is straight up wild from the start. Fisher regrets signing the birth certificate because Doyle just told him he might not be the dad. He loves them both, but his whole world is about to flip upside down.
Mr. Fisher, you claim you made the biggest mistake of your life by signing the birth certificate for 2-month-old Sophia. You say your fiance dropped a bomb on you just 1 month ago and admitted you may not be her father.
Doyle explains how she got tricked into thinking Fisher cheated, so she went and did the same thing. Turns out, Fisher never cheated, so she ruined everything for nothing. This is some next-level bad decision-making.
I was on vacation with one of his family members in Florida, and another one of his family members had texted me. He said, Trey's cheating on you, which we call him Trey, but his name is John. Me, I was hurt, and so I went to be by myself at the pool area where I was at the time. A guy walked up to me, and he's like, well, you look like you need somebody to talk to. Do you want to go to my camper and talk? So
Fisher was clueless until after Sophia was born, and then Doyle finally spilled the truth. He had already bonded with Sophia, so this news crushed him. And just to make it worse, he had proposed while she was keeping this secret.
The day that I found out she was pregnant, she had threw up like 3 or 4 times because she was feeling sick. We purchased the pregnancy tests. She took them. One had a faint line, and then one had both lines. And I was happy. That was the best day of my life.
So whenever I seen the lines, I was kind of upset. I was like, well, this isn't happening, you know?
Fisher thought he was living in a love story, but really, it was a disaster movie. Doyle knew the truth but still said yes, hoping it would just go away. Spoiler, it did not.
What happens in your relationship?
I told her, I went to work that day and I was thinking about proposing to her because I love her. She's my world. I got home that day, I had the ring in my pocket. I told her how I felt. I said, I love you, you're my world, you're everything I've ever wanted. I want to take this family to a whole nother level. Will you marry me? She said yes.
Fisher was the happiest man alive, coaching Doyle through labor and signing the birth certificate. He had no idea he was in an emotional landmine. Now, everything he thought was real is in question.
When she was giving birth, I held her hand. I felt like I was the dad, which at the time, I was pretty sure I was. I held her. I kept telling her, push, push, push. I want to see my baby. And afterwards, right there, I held her. I signed the birth certificate and everything because I thought it was my baby.
The courtroom calendar exposes the ugly truth. The baby's birth date lines up exactly with the time Doyle was in Florida with Camper Guy. Fisher is staring at the math like it just personally attacked him.
Sophia was born on January 15th. You took vacation April 21st to May 1st. And that's the window of time in which you cheated.
Yes,
Admit
Your
it.
Honor.
When you calculate it, the window of conception would be between April 19th to April 26th for a child born on January 15th.
Yes, Your Honor.
Instead of flipping out, Fisher says he'll love Sophia no matter what. Everyone in the room is shook because this is not the reaction they expected. Even Doyle is crying because she knows she doesn't deserve this much kindness.
That's my baby no matter what. And you're my wife. I love you.
Why did that bring you to tears, Miss Doyle?
Because he's so understanding, and if it were me in his position, I wouldn't have stayed.
You don't know how hard it is.
The moment of truth is here, and Fisher is sweating bullets.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Fisher, you are the father.
Oh boy, this is already messy. Ms. Thomas and Mr. Nelson were together for 6 years, had 5 kids, and now he's questioning the last one? This is just the start of a wild ride.
Ms. Thomas, you claim you spent 6 years in a relationship with the defendant, Mr. Taylor, and gave him 5 beautiful children. In return, he cheated on you and is now questioning the paternity of your youngest child, 8-month-old Jakai. You are here to prove paternity and win him back.
Turns out both of them were messing around. Mr. Nelson says she was already with other guys when she got pregnant, but Ms. Thomas swears he was the only one. Somebody is definitely lying, and we're about to find out who.
It was good in the beginning when we first started having children. And then after that, it's like me and her started like both doing our own little thing. And we was already about to split, but she ended up getting pregnant. But at that time, she was already messing around with other guys. So I didn't know what to believe.
It was rocky, but I was not sleeping with different men. Mr. Nelson was the only one that I was sleeping with at the time, especially during my conception date.
Ms. Thomas says he cheated the whole time. She stayed because of their history, but he claims the relationship was already over. If that's true, why is he still acting so mad?
He cheated on me throughout almost our whole entire relationship. We went through hard times. Why wouldn't you want to make something like that work with somebody you had all these years with, all these kids with, and you just want to...
That's why I don't even know this chat, like, man.
He gave up the relationship. I wish it was that easy for me during them times to just throw it away.
It was easy. I asked her, Your Honor, I said, are you gonna leave this guy alone? She said no.
Mr. Nelson went full detective mode and found things in her purse, a man's photo on her phone, and noticed she started coming home late. Ms. Thomas says he was already emotionally checked out, but the real proof is coming next.
How did you find that out?
The dude's picture was popping up on her phone.
It didn't start like that. He decided to leave because at that time we did grow apart.
I used to find stuff on her purse and everything. She'd be like, I'm going to work today.
Because I went to the
She'd come back and be like, you like this outfit right here? I'm like, yeah, where you going? If anything, I've been here with the kids all day long, all 4 of them. She did. She came in at 5 o'clock in the morning. I was like, where you come from? So I'm grown. I can do what I want to do.
Ms. Thomas pulls out an ovulation app like she's in science class. She says she only slept with Mr. Nelson during her fertile days and even brought receipts. But before he can argue, someone else is about to call him out.
I also had an app on my phone tracking my periods when I'm ovulating, and I have it right here.
So you were tracking your cycle.
Yes,
Was this with the intention of getting pregnant or not getting pregnant?
He actually wanted me to get pregnant.
She told me all them days with him. She said that's why every time she had sex with him.
And now his wife steps up. She found a video proving he was still sleeping with Ms. Thomas. Oh, and the way she caught him? Priceless.
It's a video I found. The video is dated April 3rd, which would have been, the first day or so that she had showed up in Greensboro. All I know is I saw her demeanor when she came around, and she was kind of like high-stepping. I'm like, okay, this is a person that's supposedly supposed to be so hurt. Like, why is she grinning? And then I saw his demeanor, and he looked guilty. I put 2 and 2 together. That's not right. Why is she extra happy and he's looking crazy?
Mr. Nelson finally confesses after getting caught again. Ms. Thomas then drops another bomb. He's been telling her he still wants to get back together. The audience loses it, and Judge Lake is ready to end him.
So, Mr. Nelson, your wife discovered a video of you having sex with your ex, now mistress.
Yes. I made a slip up.
She's comfortable from going from wifey to side chick.
I'm not nobody's side chick because your husband is the one that tells me he wants to leave.
But that makes you a side chick.
No,
it makes you a side chick. We're legally married.
Wait a minute. No, it does.
Ms. Thomas brings receipts, text messages from 3 weeks ago where he promised to leave his wife. His wife is shocked, and Mr. Nelson looks like he wants to disappear. But Ms. Thomas isn't done yet.
He texts me. He calls me and tells me how much he misses me and wants to be with me.
Right.
It's not the other way around. And I have messages to be with me.
Did you bring the messages to court with you?
Yes, Your Honor.
These messages are dated from 3 weeks ago. What is your plan for real? So are you really gonna leave her this time? Mr. Nelson, I want my family back.
Ms. Thomas finally lets it all out. She thought they'd always be together, and now she's watching him move on like she never mattered. Judge Lake tells her the hard truth. They're both being played.
Over a man who's taking advantage of both of you, and then you sit up and say you don't feel some kind of way because I see too much. If he just leave me alone, I'll be all right. He don't just slip on a banana peel and land between your legs. No.
The moment everyone's been waiting for. Is he the father?
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Nelson, you are the father.
This case started off wild, and the wife was not holding back. Ms. Brown Murray was mad her husband thought she cheated while she was literally dodging bombs overseas. She swears she stayed loyal, but her husband's doubts were about to take center stage.
Today you say you stand before me outraged because your husband has accused you of infidelity while serving in Iraq. Furthermore, you claim he now doubts paternity of your child. You argue that your wife did indeed cheat on you while serving overseas. You contend that there's no way you could be the father because she announced she was pregnant too soon after returning home.
Mr. Murray was straight up stressed out while his wife was away, losing 25 pounds from all the worrying. He was scared younger guys would steal her since he's 22 years older, and then a bomb literally shook his computer during a Skype call. Just when you think it couldn't get worse, He found out she had a male friend overseas.
She went overseas the day after Valentine's. What made it scary for me, first time me being alone in another state with no family. Is she still gonna have love for me? It's a lot of men's on basically younger men. Keep in mind, I'm 22 years older than my wife. So that has a lot to do with my being guilty or bad conscience.
Oh boy, here we go, the just a friend excuse. Ms. Brown Murray says the guy was only a buddy, but her husband wasn't buying it. To prove his point, he brought in a mystery witness to spill some military secrets.
Yes, because I guess he was scared because I had a friend while I was over there. I mean, I built a friendship with a friend, so I guess that's the reason why he...
Well, a male friend.
Yes.
It was also a judge. While I was there in the apartment complex, I met a few people. Like, have 85% of military people either still active or not. He said, which really, this is when I really got worried.
The anonymous military witness was so dramatic, it felt like a spy movie. He claimed cheating was super common on base and that soldiers live by the rule. What happens on base stays on base. Ms. Brown Murray shut that down real quick. But then Mr. Murray pulled out his next big clue.
Well, first and foremost, I don't want to bring any discredit upon the military because the actions of soldiers, they do not reflect the military. There are a lot of times where you join the military and you're away from home, and so the first thing you can do is cling to people who are around you. You develop a camaraderie. Pretty much what goes on base stays on base.
Mr. Murray went full FBI mode after hearing his wife giggle on the phone, saying, he's not stupid. He thought she was mocking him and hiding something, but she said he just doesn't get guy-girl friendships. Then, out of nowhere, he dropped the biggest bomb. He didn't even think the baby looked like him.
She's talking to him. I heard her tell him, he's not stupid. She ain't talking to her mother like that. She ain't talking to her sister like, who are you talking to? And she said his name. And I said, she said, the man called you. I said, well, who's he calling stupid? And she said, you?
What?
And I said, why would he call me stupid? Because you got new shoes and you're excited.
Now, the baby drama really kicked in. Mr. Murray had low sperm count, his baby looked nothing like him, and his wife got pregnant way too fast. The only way to settle this? A DNA test.
I had doubt. I had man's discharges unusual, and the doctor told me years ago that it had something to do with my sperm cells were weak. When she got home, it happened so fast.
It has been determined by this court that you are her father.
Thank you. Thank you.
This was totally insane. Mr. Webb wakes up from a coma and finds out Ms. Forrest is pregnant with a baby that could be his or her husband's. Now he's here ready to fight for full custody.
You have been waiting 2 years for this day. You claim the defendant, Mrs. Forrest, left you for dead only to find out once you got out of a coma that she was pregnant and that the baby could be yours or her husband. You and your husband are here today desperate to put an end to this drama. You say you have no doubt your daughter's biological father is indeed your husband.
This whole thing is messier than a spilled milkshake. Ms. Forrest met Mr. Webb while her husband was in trouble, and they hit it off. She left her husband, and they didn't use protection, which led to, well, this.
My husband got in some trouble, and I ended up meeting Mr. Webb through one of my friends. We hit it off. I ended up leaving Mr. Forrest for Mr. Webb.
So you began a sexual relationship?
Yes, Your Honor.
Were you using protection at the time?
No, Your Honor.
It didn't happen like that at first. Yes, we was in love, but towards the end, I was on life support.
No.
Imagine waking up from a coma and finding out you might be a dad. Yikes. His aunt tells him first, then Ms. Forrest calls and says, yeah, there's a chance. Mr. Webb is sitting there like, what now?
As soon as I got out of hospital, I had got a phone call saying that she was pregnant. I heard it from my aunt first, but on my way to Illinois with my dad, she had called me and told me that it was a possibility that Elena was my child.
So that means she was admitting that she also had slept with other people?
Yes, ma'am.
Judge Lake asks if she was with anyone else, and Ms. Forrest says, nope. Mr. Webb instantly calls her a liar, and things get real awkward. The audience is just sitting there like, oof, this is getting messy.
Were you sleeping with anyone else besides Mr. Webb and your husband?
No, Your Honor.
That's a lie,
But when
Your
you
Honor.
called Mr. Webb and said, I'm pregnant.
Which I didn't get back to Miss Forrest until after Travis had done left, or Mr. Webb has done left.
I have a letter from my mom where I was on life support when she came to drop off my stuff.
Which we were already broken up by
then.
then.
Motel.
Ms. Forrest claims she only slept with her husband when the baby was conceived. But Mr. Webb says, no, we were together right before I went into the hospital. The dates are all over the place, and now nobody knows what to believe.
My daughter was born on May 9th of 2013. And then you take it back 9 months later, that takes it to the week of August 26th through August 31st.
August 26th through August 31st, you were sleeping with your...
Just my husband.
The thing about it, Your Honor, is the day that before I went on to life support, we did have sex.
Mr. Webb finds out about the baby through Facebook. Not even from Ms. Forrest. She says she told his family, but he's like, then why didn't anyone tell me? Now everyone is pointing fingers, and Judge Lake is over it.
I had got an email on Facebook from my aunt that Miss Forrest had Elena.
So you got news that the baby was born. You didn't hear from Miss Forrest herself?
No, Your Honor, not at first.
You heard through your family?
Yes, Your Honor.
I messaged his mother on Facebook and told her what hospital I was going to be at, when I was going to the hospital and everything. Him or his family knew. Nobody showed up.
Mr. Webb has tried for 2 years to meet his daughter, but Ms. Forrest keeps blocking him. He even spent his last $80 on gas to drive there, only to get ghosted. This is just straight up sad.
He wanted to go.
I have from Illinois. Whenever she told me that I could meet Elena, I spent the last $80 I had to put in gas, changed her phone number, and blocked me on Facebook. 3 weeks later, I tried to contact her to meet Elena, and she would not contact me back. That is why we are here today.
Elena is 2 years old. Has still not held this baby?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Webb says if the baby is his, he wants full custody. Ms. Forrest and her husband basically yell, "Not happening!" The courtroom is so tense you could cut it with a butter knife.
This DNA test proves that I am Elena's father. I will fight for my full custody rights.
And I will fight you for custody.
There's no way he is getting my daughter.
So, Mr. Forrest, you're convinced you're Elena.
Where he is.
Oh, wait. Are you? No. I'm saying, are you convinced you're her biological father?
There's a possibility, yes.
Judge Lake reads the results, and boom.
That her biological father is Mr. Webb. Have you started that relationship?
No.
Well, why?
He's married, for number one.
Your Honor, Brooklyn got my last name.
I'm here trying to figure out what's
she all over the place.
Back.
She
a whole wife.
Yeah, a whole wife holding back. You bugging.
She sent a text message, a picture text message, which was a pregnancy test. I asked her what's the pregnancy test for. She tells me that it wasn't for me. It was for the other guy she thought was the father of her child.
Wait, what?
Your Honor, I told him that it was someone else. It was a mistake on sending it to him. So once he continued to deny it.
Judge Lake introduces Muhammad versus Walton, where Mr. Muhammad insists he's Brooklyn's dad, but Ms. Walton says nope. She admits she was seeing another guy almost daily during conception. This case isn't just messy, it's next level chaos.
Mr. Muhammad, you are here to prove that you are the father of the defendant's 2-year-old daughter, Brooklyn. You claim the only reason she is denying paternity is because she wants to be in a relationship with the other man. And Ms. Walton, you say you were secretly cheating on Mr. Muhammad and had sex with the other man almost every day of the month.
Mr. Muhammad is convinced Brooklyn is his. Same face, same eyes, same vibe. He refuses to let another man raise his child. But before he can finish his proud speech, Ms. Walton is about to drop a major bomb.
I would never let another man raise my child. I was always raised to do the right thing, always raised to be a stand-up gentleman. You can look at Brooklyn now, see my face features, everything. I'm here today to prove today that I am the father.
And you say it's not his baby, Ms. Walton.
Yes, ma'am. I say that because during my conception day, I was having more sexual intercourse with the other guy than Mr. Muhammad.
Ms. Walton claims Mr. Muhammad was cheating first, so she did too, only way more. The audience gasps when she confesses she was seeing another man the entire time. But wait, Mr. Muhammad is about to lose it over one insane detail.
During that time, while he was having his affair, I was having my affair also. Well, basically, I wouldn't say we were together.
I wasn't having no affair. We were together. She told me that this gentleman was her cousin. I didn't think nothing of it.
It's not true, Your Honor. He's always known this guy.
I know.
He was.
That's the other man that she wanted to be with.
Ms. Walton met the other guy at hotels while Mr. Muhammad thought she was at work. He calls her out saying, "You wasn't at no job." She fires back that she worked 2 jobs while pregnant and got no help. But things are about to get crazier.
Well, what happens is we was sneaking off to the hotel. I told him I was at work because during my pregnancy I was working 2 jobs while Mr. Muhammad wouldn't even help me with anything.
She's cheating, Your Honor. While she thinks she at work, she's cheating.
Were you still intimate with Mr. Muhammad during that time as well?
Yes, I was.
All right.
Wow.
So you're sleeping with them both?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Muhammad checked her phone while she was asleep. Bad for her. Jackpot for him. He found texts and pictures confirming the affair. Worst part? The messages revealed she was pregnant.
What happened was I came home, she sleep, looked at her phone, I started seeing a full-fledged text message about having sex, all that stuff. Y'all having a full relationship.
So you had
I had no idea about this man. She told me in the beginning that was a cousin. I ain't thinking none of it. I'm thinking it's a family member. You stop having sex with me.
Ms. Walton told the other guy about the baby before she told Mr. Muhammad. Imagine finding out your child exists through text to another man. He didn't even hear it from her. His family told him first.
Took the cell phone and he had confronted me about the text message and he had asked me, well, whose child is it? And I told him, I said, it's his child. It's not yours.
My recollection of it is that I'm thinking that the baby's mom. We already had one child together. Like I said, we was in a relationship, and I'm thinking I'm the only one that she sees from. I did not know nothing about the gentleman. If you look at Brooklyn and look at me, we look alike, similar alike. Everything is alike.
Mr. Muhammad swears Brooklyn was conceived February 21st at his mom's house, down to the sink. Ms. Walton says it was February 5th at her place. Problem? She was with both men that whole week.
The date was February 21st in my mama's house, in the bathroom. She was in the mood. She go to the bathroom. I go to the bathroom after. That's the date that we have Brooklyn.
Do you remember this day, Ms.
On the
Walton?
sink.
Your Honor, I remember us having sex at my house, not his mother's house.
That you conceived your daughter, Brooklyn, in your mother's bathroom on the sink.
Yes, ma'am.
She straight up admits she hopes Brooklyn belongs to the other guy because he'd be a better dad. Mr. Muhammad is shook. Turns out the other man wanted a paternity test too.
She want this baby to be his. Like I said, I know the baby. First time I held Brooklyn, I didn't get to see Brooklyn until she was 6 months old. First time I held Brooklyn, I already know that she's mine. It's certain characteristics that's mine.
That's the day she was born.
I didn't even get to see that. I didn't get to see none of that.
And did you tell this other guy I'm pregnant?
Yes, I told the other guy I was pregnant.
Never told me nothing.
But you didn't tell Mr. Muhammad?
No.
I told Mr. Muhammad after I confirmed it with the doctor.
Mr. Muhammad swears Brooklyn looks just like him. He even pulls out pictures for proof. Judge Lake shuts it down saying, we don't do DNA tests with our eyes, but the biggest shocker is coming.
Brooklyn looks like my oldest daughter. If you look at them two girls right there, that's alike. That's my first daughter right there. She full. My babies right there. Look at me and look at them. No, my babies right there.
Yeah, they may be your babies, but I'm taking care of them.
Oh, I take care of them too.
No, you do not.
Too. I ask you all the time.
Listen.
Plot twist, the other guy is married. The courtroom loses it. Judge Lake sarcastically points out why he isn't stepping up. Mr. Muhammad is completely done.
Have you started that relationship?
No.
Well, why?
He's married, for number one.
Your Honor, Brooklyn got my last name.
I'm here trying to figure out what's
she all over the place.
Back.
She
a whole wife.
Yeah, a whole wife holding back. You bugging.
Judge Lake opens the results.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Muhammad, you are the father.
Yes. I know what I'm talking about, baby. I know what I'm talking about.
This case is a mess from the start. Ms. Palmer is furious because Mr. Ross denies being the father of her baby, Jace. Mr. Ross insists she's after his money, but the relationship history is even wilder.
You opened today's case because the defendant is denying he fathered your 3-month-old son. You recently met your own father for the first time and refused to have your son grow up without his father like you did. You say pinning her child on you because you have money, and you are in court to prove once and for all you are not her child's father.
They went from strangers to lovers in 24 hours. Mr. Ross claims they always used protection, but Ms. Palmer calls that a lie. He wanted a real relationship, but she wasn't ready, making the baby timeline extra messy.
Your Honor, first of all, we used condoms every time we had sex.
We never use condoms, Your Honor.
He's denying your child, as we can see, Ms. Palmer. You're raising the child alone.
Yes, Your Honor.
With absolutely no help from Mr. Ross. Jace is 3 months old. You're denying that this baby is yours, Mr. Ross, because you say you use condoms throughout the relationship.
Yes, Your Honor.
What was the nature of this relationship?
We were just friends with benefits, Your Honor.
The math isn't adding up. Ms. Palmer says she only slept with Mr. Ross when she conceived, but she met him the day before. She's sure he's the dad, but his next revelation changes everything.
I met someone before him, and then it's just like when I started talking to him, it was just only him. But the month before,
Your Honor, she told me she
else.
was talking to somebody.
I was talking to someone the previous month, yes. But the month that I met him, no.
Did you find out you were pregnant?
And I was telling my friend, I said, something's not right. And she told me to come over, and we're gonna do a pregnancy test. We went to the store, we purchased 4 pregnancy tests. I took 2, both of them came back positive.
Ms. Palmer accidentally sent her positive pregnancy test to Mr. Ross, then said, oops, not for you. She admits she thought another man was the father first. Mr. Ross sees this as proof she was guessing who the dad was.
She sent a picture text message, which was a pregnancy test. I asked her what's the pregnancy test for. She tells me that it wasn't for me, it was for the other guy she thought was the father of her child.
Wait, what?
Your Honor, I told him that it was someone else.
Ask accidentally send this pregnancy test to Mr. Ross, but you thought you were sending it to the other guy?
It was a mistake on sending it to him. So once he continued to deny it,
She already tested another guy. He wasn't the dad. As soon as she got the result, she asked Mr. Ross to take a test, which he refused. Despite denying the baby, he was still texting her about being a father.
in the beginning of August, me and the alleged father, we got a DNA test. And the results came back. I immediately contacted Mr. Ross.
And what did you say when you reached out to him?
I asked him to do a DNA test for me. He told me that he was not the father, and then it just like got to the point where he wanted to, he started claiming my son, sending pictures, everything. Made the statement of he would help me buy a car seat.
Ms. Palmer swears Jace looks like Mr. Ross. He argues the baby doesn't have good hair, but Judge Lake shuts that down. With looks proving nothing, Ms. Palmer brings up child support.
I mean, it's obvious my son looked like you. My son has the same lips, the same eyes. My son has short limbs. I'm tall, obviously, Your Honor.
Yeah.
He even told me that my son is not his son because my son doesn't have good hair.
We know babies come in all shapes, sizes, and colors with all different textures of hair and everything else, and we don't talk about everything about this baby as innocent and good.
She demands a DNA test or child support. His choice. Mr. Ross refuses to pay for a test, saying they should have done it at the hospital. Judge Lake reminds them both they handled things poorly.
Before I even send you any kind of money, you're gonna have to get a DNA test in because I'm not finna just give
He
you no
told me he was
money.
not gonna pay for one.
Because that's
This
the
is
case,
our
she
next
could have
step.
just told me I was the father when she thought the other guy was, and we wouldn't have to do that. We had to do it at the hospital. First thing she told me, she said, well, I'm gonna put you on child support. I know how to handle this.
I mean, I do.
You tell
Why
me
should
how
I continue to make you or anything like that to take care of your son?
Mr. Ross claims another possible father is his cousin's friend. Ms. Palmer denies cheating, insisting there were only 2 men. None of it matters now. The DNA results are in.
Yeah, she was messing around with more guys because the guy she thought was her father, he actually is my cousin's friend, and I actually know the guy.
I didn't know they knew each other.
He told me I wasn't.
He didn't tell him anything because once I got my DNA test, that was it. I was not cheating on him.
And it wasn't with me. He told me, he was like, are you the father of Jessica Child? I said, no. He said, well, I'm not either because I took the DNA test.
Judge Lake reveals the truth.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Ross, you are the father.
Mr. Fisher had no idea he was signing up for an emotional roller coaster. He unknowingly signed Sophia's birth certificate, thinking all was good. A month later, bam, Ms. Doyle admits she cheated, leaving him heartbroken, but still deeply loving Sophia.
Mr. Fisher, you claim you made the biggest mistake of your life by signing the birth certificate for 2-month-old Sophia. You say your fiance dropped a bomb on you just 1 month ago and admitted you may not be her father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Just when you think it can't get worse, Ms. Doyle explains, she confesses but hopes Mr. Fisher is still the dad. She praises him for being the perfect boyfriend, but their relationship is hanging by a thread.
Ms. Doyle?
I think that he is the father. I know 100%. I mean, he was there through the whole pregnancy. He does everything for me. He works, he supports our family, he runs my baths, he cooks my food. He rubs my back and rubs my feet. He's a great father, very loving. He's a very loving father and a very loving fiance.
Their love story started like a fairy tale, but crashed hard. Mr. Fisher recalls falling for Ms. Doyle's beauty and kindness. It was perfect, until the ultimate betrayal shattered everything.
When me and one of her family members met, we became best friends. Like, we was close like this. He took me around her, and I just fell for her. And ever since then, I've loved her. She's beautiful. Her eyes, amazing. Her body, she's gorgeous. And she treats me like a man wanted to be treated, all the way up until this happened.
Things go from bad to, what were you thinking? Ms. Doyle cheats because of a false rumor about Mr. Fisher. Instead of asking, she hooks up with a random guy. Turns out the rumor was a total lie.
I was on vacation with one of his family members in Florida, and another one of his family members that he was with at the time had texted me. He said, Trey's cheating on you, which we call him Trey, but his name is John. Me, I was hurt. A guy walked up to me. Do you want to go to my camper and talk? So go back to his camper with him, and we talked about it, and then one thing led to another. He kissed me, and then we had sex.
Carrying a baby while hiding a massive secret? Yikes. Ms. Doyle panics when she sees the positive test. She lets Mr. Fisher celebrate, pretending everything's fine, while guilt eats her alive.
The day that I found out she was pregnant, she had threw up like 3 or 4 times because she was feeling sick. We purchased the pregnancy tests, went back to the house. She took them. One had a faint line, and then one had both lines. And I was happy. That was the best day of my life.
Mr. Fisher, clueless, decides to propose. Ms. Doyle's inner voice screams, "Tell him!" but she says nothing. She smiles, takes the ring, and the secret stays buried.
I told her, I went to work that day, and I was thinking about proposing to her because I love her. She's my world. I got home that day. I had the ring in my pocket. I told her how I felt. I said, I love you. You're my world. You're everything I've ever wanted. I want to take this family to a whole nother level. Will you marry me? And she said yes.
The best day turns messy. Mr. Fisher cheers Ms. Doyle on, signs the birth certificate, and beams with pride. Meanwhile, she's silently panicking, knowing the truth will come out soon.
When she was giving birth, I held her hand. You know, I felt like I was the dad, which at the time, I kept telling her, push, push. I want to see my baby. And afterwards, I signed the birth certificate and everything, because I thought it was my baby. We stayed there for 3 days. Those 3 days were the most important, amazing, wonderful thing that I have ever felt in my life.
Reality hits when Ms. Doyle admits the timeline doesn't add up. A court calendar proves the baby might not be his. Mr. Fisher stares at it in disbelief, and then he does the unexpected.
Sophia was born on January 15th. You took vacation April 21st to May 1st, and that's the window of time in which you cheated.
Yes, Your Honor.
When you calculate it, the window of conception would be between April 19th to April 26th for a child born on January 15th.
Yes, Your Honor.
Instead of walking away, Mr. Fisher says, I love you and Sophia, no matter what. Ms. Doyle breaks down, knowing she doesn't deserve his kindness. Then, the DNA results arrive.
I'm sorry that it happened, and if she's yours, then I hope that...
Let me tell you this, you ain't gotta be guilty about it no more. I know about it, and I know you're sorry. Just don't hold it on me no more. That's my baby no matter what, and you're my wife. I love you.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Fisher, you are the father.
Oh boy, this one is a hot mess. Judge Lake introduces Lima v.D. Scott and Anderson. Ms. Lima claims Mr. Anderson is the father, but he, a married man, says nope. His whole marriage is on the edge, and that thread is snapping fast.
Ms. Lima, you admit to making a huge mistake and hope it doesn't affect your baby Christina. You had an affair with Mr. Anderson, who is married, and believe he's your daughter's father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Anderson, you say your whole life is on the line, and your marriage, and you're hoping you're not the father today.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Lima met Mr. Anderson on Facebook, chatted for a year, then, boom, dinner and hotel. Just like that, things happened. The audience gasps, but oh, this is only the beginning of the chaos.
Your Honor, it all started from a Facebook message when Mr. Anderson was messaging me on Facebook. So we started being friends online for about a year and a half. Then out of the blue one day, he called me and said, let's go out for dinner. So I was like, hey, well, I'm not doing anything, so why not? We went out to dinner and we got a hotel room that night. We had sex.
Your Honor, Your Honor.
Ms. Anderson finds out when she messages Ms. Lima. She asks who she is, and Ms. Lima confidently responds, I'm his girlfriend. Then Ms. Anderson drops the bomb. I'm his wife of 10 years. The audience losing it.
A few minutes later, his Miss Anderson, she inboxed me and say, who are you? So, said I'm his girlfriend of a year, so who are you? I'm his wife of 10 years,
Really?
Yes. No, I did not know he married. He did not show any signs of marriage or anything.
Was this true?
I'm just sorry, Your Honor. I just want to say I'm sorry to my wife and my family and my kids.
Mr. Anderson gives the worst excuse ever. He cheated because of an argument. Brother, instead of apologizing, he picked cheating. This man needs serious decision-making skills.
Me and my wife, we had a bad, argument. I decided to go out and take Miss Lima out one night. And me and her went out to, the hotel. I brought her roses and, we had sex that night.
Is Miss Lima's assertion that this went on, she told your wife she was your girlfriend for a year?
Well,
that's not one night.
Mr. Anderson swears it was one night, but Ms. Lima laughs. She says it was every weekend for 2 years. Then she describes his house. Ms. Anderson's face, pure rage.
You say this only happened this one night.
It was a one-night stand.
You never saw her again. How often would you see Mr. Anderson?
We've seen each other for 2 years, every weekend, Saturdays and Sundays.
Was it strange to you that you only saw him on Saturdays and Sundays, or you thought he was working during the week?
Not really, because I went to his house numerous of times.
Excuse me. You went to his house numerous times?
Yes.
Just when you think it can't get worse, boom. Ms. Lima says she was with another guy too. No protection. Now we've got another possible baby daddy. The courtroom, a soap opera set.
I went to Mr. Anderson at first. I went to his family at first. I couldn't contact him, so I went to his family and I got rejected by them. So I was like, well, that really hurted me. So I was just like, well, let me move.
So you did sleep with another man during the window of conception during that time?
Correct.
And you were sleeping with both men without protection?
Well, I got in touch with him later. We met up and we had sex again when I was around 4 months pregnant.
Ms. Anderson listens to all of this and looks done. She reminds everyone, 5 kids, 5, and now she's dealing with this mess? I'd be packing my bags immediately.
Once we messaged each other, I asked her for her phone number because I want to talk on the phone. And when she was telling me the things that she was telling me, my whole world it caved in. Like, are you serious? You know, this is my husband.
Because you all have built a lot together.
A business. We've been through a lot, Your Honor. And just to
And
hear,
children?
5.
Now, meet contestant number 2, Mr. Scott. He met Ms. Lima at a gas station, of course, and thought she was his girlfriend. Then he found out about Mr. Anderson. He looks like he wants to disappear.
During the time she was in a sexual relationship with Mr. Anderson, so you could possibly be this child's father.
Well, the situation was when I first met Mrs. Lima, we met at a gas station. Come February, I took her flowers to a job site, took her out to eat on Valentine's Day, and then in March we had a sexual intercourse.
Mr. Scott wasn't sure if the baby was his. He thought she looked like him, but didn't want to get attached. At this point, everyone's just waiting for that DNA test.
Have you met the baby?
Yes, Your Honor.
You have? Do you come visit her regularly?
No.
Why?
Because I have doubt in my mind that she may or may not be mine, Your Honor.
Look at her, do you see a resemblance?
Yes, I do.
Ms. Lima, when you look at your child, do you feel like she looks like one man or the other?
Mr. Anderson has a child that she looks exactly like the way her eyes
You know what his
is.
kids look like?
Yes.
It gets worse. Ms. Lima met Mr. Anderson's kids. He brought them along to meet her. Ms. Anderson looks like she's about to throw a chair. And honestly, who could blame her?
He bring the kids around me, like when we meet up and when he give me money, like he'll bring the kids.
Give her money? Are you serious?
That is not.
That's how you feel?
Bring the kids with them?
Yes. I'm not sure who they thought I was.
That's how you feel? Who is she? They auntie?
That's not.
What are your hopes today, Miss Lima? Do
really
you
hope
want this
that-
to be your child father?
Yes.
Or do you want this to be your child
No,
father?
you
My child
don't.
father. He's more.
You want the baby dad to be the baby dad, and it's not him.
Judge Lake opens the envelope. BAM.
Is the father of 1-year-old Christina. Mr. Scott, you are not her father.
You just stay right here.
This case had everyone hooked from the start, like a reality show gone wild. Ms. Hawthorne storms in, accusing Mr. Brown of ghosting her after getting her pregnant. Mr. Brown fires back, calling her a liar who's trying to trap him. The way they're arguing, you just know it's about to get messy.
You are here today because you say your high school sweetheart is a smooth-talking deadbeat who got you pregnant 3 years ago and is now denying your baby. Mr. Brown, you say Ms. Hawthorne is a desperate liar who will say and do anything in order to have a family with you. You claim there is no way you could have fathered her child.
Just when things seem calmer, the long-distance drama kicks in. Ms. Hawthorne says they met online in high school, and she was loyal until he started seeing other girls. Mr. Brown shrugs, saying staying faithful from different cities was too hard. Judge Lake's face says it all. That excuse won't work here.
So you went to high school together?
No, we were separate. He's in Chicago and I'm in the suburb. We were dating online. That's how we found out about each other. And
But it
so
was
we were
during
like-
when you were in high school.
Right, and so we were dating online, but it actually took a year after we started seeing each other because we were young, we didn't have transportation.
So you met online, you lived in 2 different places.
Yeah.
Pure chaos unfolds. Mr. Brown insists they only hooked up once in August 2014. Ms. Hawthorne shuts that down, saying they were together in December 2015 when Chase was conceived. Then he drops the ultimate weak excuse. He didn't finish, so he can't be the dad. The audience erupts and Judge Lake looks ready to lose it.
Your Honor, we only had sex one time, and that was in 2014 in August.
Chase is 2 years old, so clearly it did go on and on past one sexual encounter. So what happened where you all reconnected during the period of time when Chase could have potentially been conceived?
It was in December 9th, 2015.
Mr. Brown flips the script, saying she had a boyfriend and can't be sure Chase is his. Ms. Hawthorne shuts that down, insisting she only had a male roommate. Judge Lake isn't buying it and asks the real question. You lived with a man and nothing happened? Mr. Brown shakes his head in disbelief.
Your Honor, she had a boyfriend at the time.
I did not. Me and this guy, we were roommates. We decided in
Your Honor.
June of 2015 to move in together.
You're gonna move in with someone and not have sex with them.
Yes.
A male being is not
Yes.
gonna try anything with you to
No,
have sex.
not if he's just a friend. Not if we never had that type of relationship.
Mr. Brown's got excuses for days. Ms. Hawthorne says he's only seen Chase 4 times in 2 years. He claims he felt trapped because she waited 14 weeks to tell him. Judge Lake isn't having it. Sir, you trapped yourself in the backseat of that car. The audience loses it.
Now Chase, 2 years old, you say Mr. Brown hasn't been a part of his life at all.
Not at all. He's only seen him 4 times.
Your Honor, I feel trapped in the situation because first off, you didn't let me know that you was pregnant until 14 weeks later.
So you trapped yourself in the backseat of the car when you really should have come and broke up with her, but instead you decide to have sex with her. When you in in simple mode, you get simple results.
Ms. Hawthorne's mom pulls out text receipts. In one, he talks about Christmas presents for Chase. Judge Lake reads them aloud, and the courtroom reacts. So now you're buying gifts for a baby that's not yours? Mr. Brown backpedals, blaming his grandma's advice. His argument crumbles.
You submitted those texts to the court. You write to him and say, I'm afraid that Chase at this point will not have the Christmas he deserves. Things right with your son because he didn't ask to be born. He will have a good Christmas, no worries. I'll just start checking periodically on what he needs and deliver it to him. You think I'm happy about not being able to get him gifts on Christmas? I'm not. It hurts me.
The room is silent. Judge Lake opens the envelope.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Brown, you are not the father.
This courtroom is about to go off the rails, and we're only 5 seconds in. Judge Lake kicks things off with the case of Greer versus Thompson and Tolles. Ms. Greer drops a bomb right away. She cheated on Mr. Thompson on purpose just to get revenge. Now she's standing here confused about who her baby's father is. If that's not messy enough, just wait, because I'm gonna get even by making my life way more complicated. She hopped on a dating website, met some guy she barely knew, and now here we are, trying to figure out who her baby's dad is. And trust me, the plot is just starting to thicken.
I found out that he cheated on me and I wanted to get revenge. I met this man on a dating website. I slept with him. I found I was pregnant.
And you didn't use protection even with a man you barely knew?
No, ma'am.
Not only was he there for the birth, but he even let Ms. Greer and the baby move in with him and his family. She admits she had nowhere else.
Your Honor, after she left the hospital, she moved in with me and my family.
Oh, it gets even worse.
When one of her family members posted it on Facebook about that the baby's not mine,
Why would somebody do that in your family, Miss Greer?
They was jealous.
Plot twist. He didn't just help raise the baby. He's been a full-time dad. While Ms. Greer has been staying somewhere else,
She lived with my brother and his baby mama and his family.
Just when you thought things couldn't get any messier, another possible dad enters the chat. Meet Mr. Tolles. He met Ms. Greer on a dating site, and let's just say their relationship was straight to the point. She came over. They hooked up. No protection, of course. And now he's here, wondering if he's got a surprise kid. Oh, and he didn't know she had a boyfriend. Mess level, maximum.
Let me start from the beginning when I first met her. When I met her on the website, we was talking for a minute that she just want to have. We ended up having sex. She was kissing all over me. I know she had her pants off.
Oh, you thought 2 potential dads was wild? Try 3. Mr. Tolles sees a Facebook post of Ms. Greer hugged up with another dude with the caption, "True love." Now, suddenly, we have a possible third father. Ms. Greer swears it's not him, but at this point, does anyone believe her?
I don't find out around the time that I was the Thompson in the picture.
That's my ex-boyfriend, so.
Baby father.
Okay, so you see this picture posted with true love by it.
She insists it has to be either Mr. Thompson or Mr. Tolles. But just when you think this case couldn't get any weirder, Mr. Thompson pulls out some receipts about the baby's conception date.
I was looking at TV one day, I seen that it was an app that can tell when you can flip through the next page and see that I was not in Atlanta, Georgia at that time.
Here's where the math gets real messy. Time for the moment of truth. Judge Lake reads the DNA results. Everyone in the courtroom holds their breath. Get ready for the biggest shock of the day.
It has been determined by this court.
He brought her to my doctor's appointment. That's disrespectful. I asked him, I was like, the day after my son was born, I said, you can come up here and see the baby. He said, oh no, I'm
and what does it matter if I drop him off? I was the only one willing to give him a ride to see his own kid.
That's disrespectful.
I have kids. I know what it's like being a single mom, and I would not be with Jesse if he would not take care of responsibility.
She cheated on me on my birthday.
I did not cheat on you.
She was gone with her ex on my birthday, and then come crawling back after that.
She was gone with Mr. Dallas or somebody else?
Somebody else. There could be more than one person that she's been with.
It's not true, Your Honor.
Ms. Clark says Mr. Newby bailed when she got pregnant because his new girlfriend, Ms. Faulkner, filled his head with doubts. Mr. Newby claims Ms. Clark was seeing someone else, and if he is the dad, wants custody because he thinks she's unfit. And just when it seems messy enough, the emotions explode.
Ms. Clark, you claim that you and the defendant, Mr. Newby, dated for only 3 months before you became pregnant with his baby. You say the relationship was moving forward until he left you for a woman you claim is old enough to be his mother. It is your belief that she is the reason Mr. Newby is denying paternity.
Ms. Clark shares her tough past. Her dad's decided to eliminate himself, her mom's death, and addiction struggles during pregnancy. She admits to using drugs drugs while pregnant, but says jail helped her clean up. The crowd applauds her turnaround, but the drama's far from over. Because, of course, it's paternity court, and it only gets messier.
Your Honor, when I met him, I was in drug use, but, we were together for 3 months. When he left me, I felt abandonment because when I was younger, at 13 years old, my dad had hung himself because of drug use. And then 5 years later, my mother had died when I was 18 years old because of cancer. So when he left me when I was 7 months pregnant, I felt abandonment and pain and agony.
Mr. Newby's suspicions take center stage. He thinks Ms. Clark cheated, and others kept feeding his doubts. He was initially excited about the pregnancy, even showed off the sonogram, but the gossip got to him. Then things take a strange turn involving fake baby photos.
When she first went to jail, she would call me, and yeah, I would talk to her because I was thinking that the baby might possibly be mine. I've had my doubts from the very beginning. She's constantly lied. She's cheated on me with her ex, like, what, 3-4 times?
No, only
something like
once.
That? She was snoring.
You had doubts about being a father or whatever, then why'd you have this picture taken with me with the first ultrasound and being happy about being a father?
Things get weird when Ms. Clark admits sending Mr. Newby a random baby photo from the internet. Yep, a total internet baby to test if he cared. It only made Mr. Newby more suspicious. And that's not the end. Next up, it's all about hospital visits and boundary disputes.
Well, it was a picture of the internet. It sent him the picture, but I was just upset because
why
he had left me to see if he would show any interest of seeing his son because he wasn't doing that.
You showed him a picture of a fake baby as if the baby had born.
Yeah,
yes.
A newborn baby. I got a picture on my cell phone. While I was at work, I showed my manager and ran home.
Hospital drama kicks off as Ms. Clark accuses Mr. Newby of showing up to appointments with Ms. Faulkner. She calls it disrespectful, while Ms. Faulkner claims she was just giving a ride. Clearly, no one's on the same page, and now they're arguing about who pays for what.
He brought her to my doctor's appointment. That's disrespectful. I asked him, I was like, the day after my son was born, I said, you can come up here and see the baby. He said, oh no, I'm
and what does it matter if I drop him off? I was the only one willing to give him a ride to see his own kid.
That's disrespectful.
I have kids. I know what it's like being a single mom, and I would not be with Jesse if he would not take care of responsibilities.
Ms. Clark accuses Mr. Newby of barely helping with the baby. He says he tried, but Ms. Clark always refused anything from Ms. Faulkner. Judge Lake jumps in, urging Mr. Newby to take more responsibility. But you can tell this fight is far from over, especially as the fitness to raise the child gets questioned.
I would call him and ask him if he can watch him or whatever, if he wants to see him. He said, I can't right now.
That is not true.
I want to take care of the baby. I tried taking care of the baby. You would not.
And when we bought stuff for the baby, she refused. She said, because Joanne got it, I don't want it. Because I bought it. She did not want to receive the gifts. And she did not want to want it.
But it's not your responsibility. It's his.
Our money is combined.
Yeah, the money.
I don't care.
Mr. Newby claims Ms. Clark is unfit because she used drugs while pregnant. Judge Lake points out Ms. Clark's efforts to get clean. And even Mr. Newby admits she's improved. It's all leading up to the big moment. The DNA results are about to be revealed.
How are you going to be 7 months pregnant and then stick a needle into both of your guys' bodies?
But I
like that baby had to go through that for no reason. She didn't even give him a chance.
Ms. Clark admitted that was an absolute irresponsible action, which was inexcusable. I heard her say that. Mr. Newby, you are the father.
Ms. Holshoe storms into court claiming her mom had a fling with the defendant's dad, making her their sister. The Howard sisters are furious and call her a liar. Ms. Holshoe points out her name in the dad's obituary, and the drama levels up with more accusations.
Ms. Holshoe, you claim your mother had an affair with the defendant's father, and today you're in court to prove that he is your biological father. Ms. Howard, you and your sisters say Ms. Holshoe is a delusional troublemaker whose promiscuous mother destroyed your family and ruined your home.
Ms. Holshoe says she has terminal cancer and wants closure on her dad. She heard about her real dad when her drunk stepdad spilled the tea during a fight. Her mom confirmed it, and things got messy from there.
I've recently learned that I have terminal cancer, and I'd like to have family history, and I also, which I know they don't want to, but I would also like to, because my stepdad was drunk, he was fighting with my mother, and he said, well, who do you think your father is? And so after that, my mother told me. She took me and introduced me to DL. We had a relationship from then on.
The Howard sisters admit their dad once mentioned Ms. Holshoe might be their sister, but brush it off, claiming her mom slept around. The courtroom erupts into a messy argument, feeling like a Thanksgiving dinner gone bad.
One time when I was 19 years old, my dad, he was in from California. My parents were already divorced. We were in from California. He had us all meet him out at a country bar. We showed up, and her mother was there. And after about a half hour, we had some drinks and stuff, and my dad
I don't even remember that, and she's lying, and I'm not a that. If anybody's a that, look over there.
Whatever the case may be.
sisters talk about their dads cheating, but refuse to believe Ms. Holshoe. They share details from their lives like detectives solving a case they want to ignore, throwing in some mean comments about her mom.
I was in California living with my father. We had packed up our things and moved out because my father had gone to at the bar where her mother was working and caught her cheating on him. Probably has no idea who any of her children belong to.
It's not my fault you guys don't want to know me. It's not my fault that your dad had sex with my mother, and I'm a product of that.
Ms. Holshoe says she was invited to a Howard family reunion by Mr. Howard, but the sisters lose it, calling her a liar. She claims they chased her out, which the sisters deny. It's turning into a real soap opera.
Your Honor, Mr. Howard invited me to a Howard family reunion.
Lies.
It was at Guilford Lake.
That is a total lie.
How does she know where the reunion is if she was invited or someone didn't tell her?
Your Honor, I have been to every single family reunion.
And I have been
she has never been.
Is it held at that location?
I'm sure that she has this information because she's gone from my other sister.
Kelly Howard says she believes Ms. Holshoe because their dad literally introduced her as her sister. Everyone is left wondering if their dad ever thought this situation would end well.
Well, we were out one day, and I was about 19, and he said that he wanted me to meet one of his girlfriends. Met several of them before. So we go to Lynn's mother. He introduces me to her as my sister. We just went about our way after that, and I just took it as for what it was and just...
You never questioned it?
No. Our dad never lied to us.
Judge Lake reveals the DNA results.
That the probability of half-siblingship between Diana Howard and Misty Lynn Holshoe is 98.1%.
Two moms, Miss Taylor and Miss Johnson, team up against Mr. Barber, accusing him of being a deadbeat dad. They want over $7,000 in child support, and they're not holding back. This is just the start of the blames the moms for wanting too much money and causing drama. Miss Taylor claims he only cares about one kid because he's still sneaking around with that mom. It's like a soap opera, and the drama is just heating up.
The only reason you can't support the children you have with Miss Taylor and Miss Johnson is because they ask for too much money. They create too much drama.
Miss Taylor says she gave birth alone, while Mr. Barber flirted on his phone. He blames work, but she's not buying it. This is just leading to more tension.
I had my daughter by myself. My mother's deceased. My family could not get there. I come.
Judge Lake scolds everyone for all the shouting, saying it hurts the kids. She compares their constant fighting to nails on a chalkboard. The moms roll their eyes, and Mr. Barber tries to act calm. Let's see if anyone steps up. Miss Cooper, the third mom, actually defends Mr. Barber, calling the others bitter. She claims he's great with her kid. The room gets awkward, but the financial drama isn't over.
Do you feel like he treats your child differently?
No, I don't. I feel like he loves all his kids the same. I just feel like me and him have came to a common ground to co-parent. Our relationship and what we've been through, none of that matters.
Is he good?
Yes, he is. Very well.
Love.
She's a daddy's girl. She only wants to be with him.
Johnson, 3,180. She tells Mr. Barber being a dad is more than just photo ops. It's like a game show where nobody wins.
You know, it is this...
A reality check. Time to grow up and stop letting his kids down. The moms hope he takes it seriously. It ends on a hopeful note, but this drama feels far from over.
When you got these women pregnant, you didn't know who you were. But now...
Wow, this episode kicks off with fireworks. Miss Jackson is in court to face her husband's mistress and prove the mistress's baby isn't her husband's. Oh, and she's ready to end her marriage if she's wrong. Yep, it's going to be one of those cases. Let's go. Discovery of the affair.
Miss Jackson, you say you're here to confront your husband's mistress and to prove her 1-month-old daughter, Kiesha, is not his biological daughter.
Your Honor.
Furthermore, you say you learned today that the child is in fact your husband's. Your marriage is over.
That's right, Your Honor.
Things get real when Miss Jackson tells the story of how she found out her husband was sneaking around. Oh, but Miss Jackson wasn't having it. This was just the warm-up round of the drama.
I got an epiphany. Call it woman's intuition, whatever you want. Well, I went to my husband's job. It was about 9:30 or 10:30 at night. He approached the car. We talked for a few minutes. To end our conversation, I told him, feel as though there's something going on that you hadn't told me, because he had been distant in the days prior to. I had put him out.
The mistress, Miss Lipscomb, tries to explain herself. And her story, it's wild. She says Mr. Jackson told her he wasn't married, even though he was rocking a wedding ring. But instead of smelling the lies, she bought his excuse. It's about to get even messier, so stick around.
When she came to their job, why did she come up there or why didn't she come up there? I've never seen her a day in my life. I knew her voice. I was sitting up, Mr. Jackson, and she calls and the kids calls, that's how I know her voice so high pitched. You can hear her through the phone. My BM, which is my baby mother. BM does not spell wife. Wife is spelled W-I-F.
Oh, she
not
can spell,
BM.
Your Honor. Wow.
Imagine catching your husband's mistress chilling in a hotel room you're paying for. Yeah, that happened. Miss Jackson recalls finding Miss Lipscomb at the hotel and letting her know exactly who the boss is. Spoiler alert, this showdown gets even crazier when Mr. Jackson shows up later.
Maybe a week after that, I was talking to, because my husband went to jail that night, Your Honor. I was angry enough. It was an impulsive decision, and I understand it was not the right decision, Your Honor, because I knew that he had some legal issues going on in another state. The next morning, I go to the room, find Miss Lipscomb laying in the bed crying.
I
like
told
she just
you I
lost
was
her
going back
puppy.
to the room,
But
talking to me.
Oh, here comes Mr. Jackson, looking like he just walked into a tornado. He admits he never told Miss Lipscomb he was married, saying, "She didn't ask." Really? That's the excuse? The judge isn't buying it, and honestly, neither are we. What happens next is gold. Miss Jackson's generosity.
Ms. Lipscomb says she had no idea you had a wife.
No, she didn't, because I never mentioned it to her, Your Honor.
So that part of her statement is true. You never told her you were married.
No, Your Honor.
When Miss Lipscomb first started talking, I didn't believe for 1 minute that she didn't really know you were married, and confirmed the lie.
I didn't tell her no lie, I just didn't never mention it to her. She never asked.
You think Miss Jackson would be done, right? Nope. She actually bought baby stuff for the mistress's kid because she felt bad. She thought the drama was over, but surprise, Miss Lipscomb admits the affair never really stopped. This mess is nowhere near cleaned up.
Not only have we had conversations, before I didn't deny the child, I went and bought over $900 and some worth of stuff for her baby. Like I told her, from the conversation, Your Honor, she seemed really distraught. She said that, "I don't know how it feels not to know who your child's father is, Your Honor. Whether it's my husband's child or not, out of the kindness of my heart, Your Honor, I understand that we all have shortcomings."
Just when you think it's bad enough, Miss Jackson drops another bomb. Miss Lipscomb might have had another boyfriend during all this. She even brings receipts, aka Facebook posts, to prove it. Let's just say, things are starting to feel more like a soap opera in real life. Hang tight.
I found out when I was in jail, because I guess the beginning of the year, her birthday time, she got sick and went to the hospital. And my wife told me that she said she was pregnant then.
On her Facebook page, Your Honor, she had listed that she was going to the hospital. At that time, Your Honor, she was with another man, and I have evidence.
This piece of evidence shows that she was also dealing with another man.
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, but Mr. Jackson didn't just sign the birth certificate. He was at the hospital. He put this baby on his wife's military benefits too. Like, that's not a big deal. The audacity, off the charts. And you already know, Miss Jackson is not about to let that slide.
He didn't cut the cord, but he was there.
So he did come for the birth?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson, did you sign the birth certificate?
Yes.
You did?
So if it's not his child, why would he sign the birth certificate? Even more to speak on her
Mr.
behalf.
Jackson, you've acknowledged paternity.
Yes.
Your Honor, that's why the baby was placed on my benefit.
Her
The baby is what?
Anything for my
Placed on my
child.
benefits, Your Honor. I also have proof of that.
At this point, the whole courtroom is on edge as these two women go back and forth like it's the finals in a shouting competition. Miss Lipscomb says Miss Jackson is just using the baby as a reason to divorce Mr. Jackson. The judge steps in to say, enough already, but trust me, the next part is going to leave you shook.
Oh, I just believe she wants to know if this is his child so she can divorce him. Don't use my child as a crutch. If you want to divorce him, divorce him. Don't use my child as a crutch. This woman is delusional. The whole time I was pregnant,
I'm delusional,
she swore
but I'm
that
married
she
and
was
you're messing
pregnant.
with my husband.
She's been pregnant 4 times since I have had my daughter.
She's
right here,
not
that
telling
she
you
sent
that
me
I'm
in
pregnant
May.
now. That's
You
the
sent
part
me
that
an
she hadn't
ultrasound.
admitted
I
to.
told you every time.
The moment everyone's been waiting for. The DNA test comes back, and boom.
When it comes to 1-month-old Keasia Jackson, Mr. Jackson, you are not the father.
This kicks off like a reality show where nobody's winning. Mr. Burridge says he's been played and wants his name off the birth certificate, plus his money back for childcare. Mrs. Stephanies is fed up, saying Burridge was a great dad until now. Things are already wild, but they're about to get wilder.
Mr. Barrage, you've dragged Ms. Stephens to court because you say you're being played for a fool. And when today's DNA results prove that you are not her daughter, father, you demand that your name be removed from her birth certificate and you be reimbursed for the past 8 months of child care expenses.
Both had side flings. Welcome to the world's messiest love triangle. Burridge admits he had a girlfriend while seeing Miss Stephanies, who also had another guy. Miss Stephanie says Burridge knew what he was getting into, but things turned awkward real fast. If you thought this was messy, just wait, there's more.
I also had another woman on the side, and you had another guy on the side.
And I never knew it was a girlfriend. We were together every day since the first day we started hanging out.
No.
But when I sent you the pregnancy test and told you I was pregnant, you said what? I'm gonna be in her life. That's my child. You was there, you signed the birth certificate, cut the umbilical cord. I didn't force you to do anything. You chose to do that willingly because you felt obviously that she was your child.
That's like a soap opera crossed with a bad rom-com. Burrage claims he was trapped into this baby, saying she wanted him away from his girlfriend. Ms. Stephanie says he chose to be there because he liked how she treated her kids. The judge looks like she needs a lie detector test for this one. But hey, it's just getting started.
That's my child. I'm going to be in his or her life. He's saying that I was just something to do, but that was never my impression. Me and Fernando, we was together all the time. It wasn't no one night stand. We was together consistently every day. I didn't think we were in a relationship, but I thought it was more because I knew that my intentions was to get more than what it was.
And you also said this to me, talking like you gonna try to take me away from my girl. You know what I'm saying? Trying to set me up, trying to trap me.
This is nosy neighbor heaven. Gossip galore. Burrage says neighbors told him Stephanie's was seeing half the block, making him question if the baby was his. He even points out the baby's complexion is too different. Ms. Stephanie's rolls her eyes like she's had enough of this nonsense. The judge starts piecing things together, but it only gets weirder.
I didn't know how many guys she slept with. Guys coming out the blue in the neighborhood while I stay, just come out the blue. I hit that, I hit that.
And he's going off with other people saying, ask him, does he know anything that's for sure? Not what people are saying.
Do you know for sure? Do you have any proof of this?
I have proof, Your Honor. For one, Your Honor, I don't have light blue, green, hazel eyes, Your Honor. That's for one.
The other guy has light eyes.
Yes, Your Honor.
This part is either touching or hilarious. Burrage shares he didn't have a dad growing up and didn't want the same for Phelan, but now feels foolish. Ms. Stephanie says she thought Burrage was her ride or die, now feels humiliated. Just when things seem settled, bam, a twist.
I really don't know who my father is, because my name ain't on the birth certificate other than what my mother tell me, but ain't no name on the birth certificate. On my generation, my close in that family all the way to like 1874. And like far as our genetic code, we got big eyes, big nose, big lip. That baby got light eyes, little nose.
From you, Mr. Barrage, she's my child also. She can have my genes.
Things just got crazier. Ms. Stephanie's reveals she's 5 months pregnant with Burrage's baby. Burrage says she trapped him again, while she insists otherwise. The judge looks like she could use a coffee break, and honestly, same. But the drama isn't over yet.
My biological mom wasn't in my life, nor my father. I didn't meet him till I was 12. And ain't no telling if that's my biological father. Why would I put my children? Phelan is my 5th child. I'm pregnant again by Mr. Barrage. And what, to go through the same thing? I'm 5 months pregnant as we speak now.
She trapped me, Your Honor. She trapped me with this one.
Things get awkward fast. Stephanie's admits she was with another guy, but says it ended before Phelan was conceived. Burrage isn't buying it, thinking he might not be the only possible dad. The audience practically yells at their TVs, trying to solve this like a crime drama. The tension here could power a whole city.
Have you ever had a sexual relationship with this other guy? So you have. What he's saying is you've had a sexual relationship with this guy. For some reason, you're still around him all the time.
Because
unprotected sex, Your Honor.
Was it unprotected or protected sex?
Unprotected. When I met Mr. Barrage, that relationship, no, not at the same time.
Who else? It might be another man, baby.
Not
you know they got a name for themselves.
This had everyone rolling their eyes. Burrage says Stephanie's put voodoo on him, earning a look from the judge like, really? The judge points out Burrage signed the birth certificate and played dad. Stephanie says she wanted more than just a fling, and now she feels tossed aside. Finally, the moment of truth is near.
Both of you have stood in court today and testified that you feel like fools.
Yes, Your Honor. A special type of food, though, Your Honor.
What kind?
She put some type of voodoo on me or something, Your Honor.
Acting like you don't care nothing about this girl. You are wasting my time. I'm trying to get to this paternity issue, and you trying to act like you don't care nothing about this girl. Hit it and quit it girl that you don't care nothing about.
The DNA results are the grand finale.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Barrage, you are her father.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Judge Lake kicks off Butterfield versus Bracknell Dallas, a messy paternity case about baby Kara. Butterfield claims he's the father, while Bracknell insists it's her fiancée Dallas. You can already feel the chaos brewing.
Mr. Butterfield, you've summoned your ex-girlfriend, Ms. Bracknell, to paternity court to prove that you are the father of her 2-month-old daughter, Kara. You say she's denying you are Kara's dad because she's worried her family will be torn apart when the results prove you are the father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Butterfield says he and Bracknell planned for a baby, and during their breakup, she mentioned a gift. He wonders if that meant Kara feeling left out of her birth. The drama's just getting started.
Me and Mrs. Bracknell had a residence together for almost a year. We did try to have a baby together before. She had told me when we were breaking up, she said, "Thank you for the gift." And I said, "What gift was that?"
And then when you found that out, you thought to yourself, was that the gift?
The baby?
Yeah, you thought
my daughter, yes.
Bracknell says she found out about the pregnancy months after leaving Butterfield. She thinks the baby looks like her other kids with Dallas, but Dallas is ready to present some evidence next.
When When did you find out you were pregnant?
Honestly, I didn't find out until I'd say 3 months after I did move out of his house. I was having irregular periods, so I just let it go for a minute. I'm not really a doctor person.
So what you're saying is when this relationship ended, you didn't know you were pregnant?
No.
But once you found out you were pregnant,
How could you not? You're not having periods.
Dallas brings out a calendar, claiming Bracknell moved in with him when Kara was conceived. Butterfield claps back, insisting he was still seeing her. The mystery deepens.
So this calendar outlines the date when the relationship with Mr. Butterfield and Ms. Bracknell. Kara was conceived in mid-September, and she was born in June. And she ended the relationship with Mr. Butterfield at the end of August. There's no way Mr. Butterfield is Kara's biological father.
Yes, ma'am. Dallas declares Kara his daughter, no matter the DNA results. Butterfield insists he'll step in if she's his. The room is tense, with emotions ready to burst.
Have you ever considered how you would react if, in fact, Kara is not your biological child?
You know what, Your Honor? I'm gonna love her the same. She's gonna be my little daughter. I'm gonna raise her my life. Nothing's gonna change. I love her to death, just like I do now. He's actually made our family stronger.
That's good. I'm not trying to get her back. I'm just trying to be in my daughter's life.
No, you just have a...
Butterfield found out about Kara via a Facebook post with someone else holding her. He accuses Bracknell of hiding it, but she denies it. The back and forth doesn't seem to end.
The only time that I actually ever found out that you guys were even pregnant, that's a Facebook post that they posted on that the baby was even. That's before I even knew.
It says, this little girl is ready.
Yep, that little girl is ready right there. And then I also, the only thing I got was a text message from of a friend saying of her sister holding my daughter.
Butterfield accuses Bracknell of cheating and even leaving him on his birthday. She denies everything. The tension rises as they prepare for the next round of accusations.
She cheated on me on my birthday.
I did not cheat on you.
She was gone with her ex on my birthday and then come crawling back after that.
She was gone with Mr. Dallas or somebody else?
Somebody else. There could be more than one person that she's been with.
It's not true, Your Honor.
When I found out about it, I messaged her mom, let him know I was coming. I blocked, obviously, on their
That you were coming? Let's explain that text message.
You guys even got together.
Butterfield insists Kara is his, pointing out physical similarities. Bracknell counters, saying Kara resembles Dallas and her other kids. Everyone's waiting for the DNA test to decide.
She looks more like me. Even her own family says it. They look like me. She's got my nose, she's got my lips, she's got my brown hair. All her boys are blonde.
Yep, and they've gone brown the older they get.
Exactly.
So you are convinced, Mr. Butterfield, this is your daughter?
Oh, I'm 100% convinced.
Judge Lake asks if Dallas would stay if Kara isn't his, and he says yes without hesitation. His devotion is clear, but the DNA results will soon shake everyone.
So therefore, if in fact Kara is not your biological child, will you be able to continue this relationship?
Oh, yeah.
You will?
Yep.
Okay. It has been determined by this court, Mr. Butterfield.
What did I tell you?